Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Homeschooling for College Credit podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Cook-DeRosa. I have a question for you. Do you know what a valedictorian is? A valedictorian is the student who graduates first in their class. So we might chuckle a little bit to ourselves when we think that our own homeschool graduates are valedictorians. In fact, I think I've even seen a homeschooling valedictorian meme on the internet, but today's guest isn't laughing. Today, you are going to meet Melanie Rhodes. She's a homeschooling for college credit parent in Virginia. She has 4 kids, ages 16 to 20. Her oldest daughter graduated high school in 2021 as an enrolled over at Liberty University on campus. She's pursuing a Bachelor of Science in nursing, and she graduated from high school with 30 college credits. She got her EMT certification, and here's the kicker. She got the Liberty University Valedictorian Scholarship worth $100,000. So I can't wait for you to meet Melanie and listen to her tell you about this amazing scholarship that her daughter got. And hopefully you'll be able to see if your student might be able to do the same thing. So welcome, Melanie.
Hello.
I'm so glad that you agreed to chat with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, if we could just really quickly, would you mind telling everybody just a tiny bit about how you guys got started in homeschooling?
Sure. We moved from one state to another in 2013, and we found out through researching a little bit before we moved that the school systems locally were not the best, the public school systems. And since we both had, my husband and I had time available, we decided we would homeschool for the rest of that year because it was partway through a school year, and see how it went. We had not homeschooled previously, and it went well. So we continued and have continued from 2013 on. So with the youngest being 16 now.
Excellent. And so when you started homeschooling, you probably weren't thinking about college credit or things like that. But were you thinking about college? I mean, was that something that was on your radar when you were homeschooling your kids?
Not necessarily front of the radar. My husband and I both went to college, so that was there, but we both had the same idea that it was more about finding what motivated each kid and what their passion was and helping them move in that direction versus like saying college was absolutely necessary.
And if you had kids that were considering occupations or careers that needed college, were you guys a little nervous, or were you thinking about how you were going to pay for college? I mean, did you guys have big college funds set up for your kids?
We did not have any college funding set up previously for the kids, so it was a matter of we would do what we could to help. They would do what they could from their end, like working or scholarships if that was the case, and we would go from there. Obviously for my daughter with nursing, she had to do some sort of college, so that was kind of where we started.
Yes. And so for those of you guys listening, college can be very expensive, and a 4-year degree from a private university can easily cost a family, as much as $200,000 or more. So this is no small expense, particularly when you have many children, and homeschooling parents typically have very high educational goals for their students. But in cases where you're homeschooling and one of the parents is staying home to homeschool, you might have half the resources financially as other families. So this is a big challenge for homeschooling families. Now, when did you guys discover that you could earn college credit, and how did that kind of play into your program for your daughter?
It was probably when she was maybe in like middle schoolish, junior high, that I came across your book actually somewhere. I think it was free to download at one point, briefly. And so I read through it and kind of looked into it and just sort of made a mental note. At that point, she had no idea exactly what direction she wanted to go. So I didn't push any of it. Just kind of noted that and saved the book that I could come back to it if she decided to go a route that we would need to pursue it further.
So then you guys did start earning college credit when she was in high school, right?
Yes, it was actually the summer before her last year of high school. The COVID year, her summer jobs were not happening. So Sophia was offering free classes at that time. We asked her if she wanted to try that, it would count towards high school credit, if nothing else. And, at that point she was leaning towards the healthcare field. So we knew she would probably need some college. And so we told her, depending on, what college she ended up at, that it would possibly also count for college credit. So that was sort of her incentive, that it would count for high school credit. It would give her kind of a taste. And since she wasn't working, it worked out well.
And did you guys use other resources besides Sophia? Sophia, for those of you guys listening, is an online self-paced course that you can take, or you can have your kids take. And those are like a pass fail kind of situation. So I know, like with nursing specifically, a lot of students doing that particular track want to make sure they get those graded labs and things like that. So
Yes.
you guys did other things as in addition to Sophia, correct?
Yes, the Sophia we just use mainly for like their intro to college class, some of their general stuff. Once she narrowed down that she definitely was thinking nursing, we checked into our local community college for the science with labs that were required as prerequisites to see if we could get any of those out of the way before she actually headed to college. So she was able to take a couple anatomy and physiology with labs, and then a chemistry with lab, which were all required for the nursing program at Liberty. So that worked out well for her. She also did the EMT certification because we wanted to make sure she had some exposure to the health field to kind of see if it was what she was definitely interested in. And EMT classes, I mean, they're in the evenings, they're several hours for a chunk of time, but it's a relatively reasonable way to find out if you even like that field at all.
I think
And then
that's
she
so
did get
smart.
certified.
I just think that's so smart. A lot of times someone will go to college and they may not have an idea of what they like. And once they start taking classes, they may decide that they're in the wrong program. And that's an expensive
Yes.
time to make that kind of discovery.
Yes, we were hoping to avoid that if possible.
Well, so good. So she started taking college credit classes in high school, and she
Yes,
earned her EMT certification. So she
yes.
graduated high school with how many college credits?
She graduated with 30 college credits that she took all during her senior year
So
of
she
high
was
school.
able to apply as a freshman. I think that's important for people listening to
Yes,
understand that college credit earned during high school retains your freshman status. So you're not a
yes.
transfer student, even though she had 30 college credits, which is a
Mhm.
full year of college already under her belt. So
Yes.
kind of would take us through what happened when you started realizing, okay, she is going to go to college. She wants to be a nurse.
Mhm.
We're looking at Liberty University's BSN.
Yes.
And you're looking for scholarships, right? That's how you started this?
Yes, we were looking at a local school that also had a BSN program that she would have lived at home, and it was a public university. Um, And obviously comparing the cost of that to Liberty, it was less expensive. Although she kind of liked Liberty a little bit better. So I started just digging around on Liberty website, looking to see, if there was anything else that we hadn't discovered, and was looking through their scholarship list, came across the valedictorian, saw that it said homeschool students could apply. And so we kind of like laughed about it and filled it out. She met the minimum requirements and sent it in. I was fully not expecting, didn't really know what to expect from it.
So
I think
for everyone listening, so the valedictorian means that your student has graduated first in their class. So unless you have twins or triplets, your homeschool student is probably graduating as the valedictorian of your homeschool, right? Like legally, we're not stretching the truth here. this is true, and it's an opportunity that they have on their website. And if it does say homeschoolers are qualified, I love that you
Mhm.
read that and thought, hey, we've got nothing to lose. Do you remember what some
Yeah.
of the requirements were for your daughter to
You have
qualify?
to obviously be top in your class, which, like you mentioned, all homeschool students usually are. You have to have a minimum GPA of, I can't remember if it's a 3.5. I can't remember that. You have to have an ACT, and I only remember the ACT because that's the test we took of 29 or above. But I know they also have SAT and CLT, if that's what you've taken,
So,
minimums.
so the valedictorian scholarship covers room and board. No, I'm sorry, doesn't cover
Mhm.
room and board. Can you share
No,
what that
covers
scholarship
tuition.
covers?
So it covers tuition. Doesn't cover any of like the extra fees, covers tuition, and it does not stack. So if you get other scholarships, they are applied first, or other grants or aid. They're applied first, and then that scholarship comes in to cover anything not
And so
covered under the tuition.
if you have, let's say you have a nice scholarship from your local community group or something like
Mhm,
that your student has earned,
mhm.
that's going to come off the top. And then this
Yes,
valedictorian scholarship is basically bringing your balance to zero. So you're not getting
yes,
overage. They're not going to give your student a check for the extra funds. It's bringing that balance down to zero, which is great, by the way, right?
yes, yes.
So what are you and your
Fantastic.
husband doing about the extra fees? So I know that it's not going to cover some of the extra fees. Also, you have the question of room and board. So what kind of is your plan for those costs? And is your daughter helping with that?
Yes. So first, I should mention that the scholarship does have a requirement that you, I think, live on campus your first semester. So that is part of it. That might need to be verified, but I'm thinking that was the case. So my husband and I agreed that because she had done her part, working and then obviously academically qualifying for the scholarship, that we would cover the room and board. We've also covered, especially with the nursing program, there's some extra lab fees and stuff. We have covered the extra stuff. She has worked though every summer and every break. So she covers obviously anything extra she wants. She also takes care of, for the nursing program, we're required to have some other apps and different things. She takes care of the cost of all of those things and organizations they have to be a part of.
So this brought your costs down considerably since you don't have to worry about the tuition, and then
Yes.
any of the savings that you and your family have can just fund these extra room and board costs.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yes.
love that your daughter is contributing. I think it's really valuable. And the data does show that students who work a little bit in college, I mean, not 40 hours a week where they're working full time, but
Yeah.
a couple shifts here and there, a few hours a week actually perform better. And so the data supports that approach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's wonderful. Now, let's real quick talk about the scholarship because it is so huge and it takes care of
Yes.
such a big piece of the process here and the strategy of being able to cover costs. Now, you tested out kind of this strategy with your son, right? You have a son that is getting close to college age, and so you sent in his application for the valedictorian scholarship as well, correct?
Yes, he is actually in his first year at Liberty. He kind of decided later that he might like to go to college. So he only took the ACT once, and didn't have enough time to even think about taking it again and still applying for the scholarship. But he got the minimum. He got qualifying. Obviously, he was first in his class. His GPA was good. His ACT score was good. But he was not chosen. He received lots of other scholarships, but he did not get that one. And I know there's even a lot of public school or private school kids on a Liberty Parents page that have noted before that their kids were not chosen, even though they were valedictorian of their classes. So
Right. So this is not a guarantee that
no, it's a
just because
competitive
you're
scholarship.
yeah, so just because you're homeschool graduating first in your class is not a guarantee.
Mhm.
But it is a verification that homeschool students do get this scholarship award. And you shared with me off our podcast today that your son actually earned more college credit than your daughter. And so one of the strategies that you guys used
Yes.
was to bring in more college credit, right?
Mhm. Yes, he brought in 60 credits, which was the most he could do and still complete the program that he wanted, the classes that he needed to take at Liberty. So yeah, he brought in as much as he could to cut down the cost. So they will actually graduate at the same time from Liberty.
And will either your son or your daughter, will either of them have to take student loans to earn their degrees?
No, that is one of our sort of family goals, is not to have to do that.
That's awesome. I love that. It really
Thank
preserves
you.
the students, their choices later after high school. It allows
Yes,
them to follow their heart instead of having to make big payments for the debt that they incurred when they were in school.
most definitely.
So I have a question for you. So what would
Sure.
you recommend for a family listening with a high school student that is, they really are trying to have this story like yours. They want their teens to pick that good career path or that major that is going to actually pay a living wage, right? And that they want to
Mhm.
attend college without accumulating a lot of student loan debt.
I think, well, I feel first as homeschoolers, obviously, our kids have the ability to explore all kinds of different things before they have to make a decision, which allows parents to be able to put them in things or have them take a class here or there, or even just read a book on something or shadow to see if where their interests are or, what they might like to do. And if it's something like nursing that requires some sort of college, then to pursue that, is there a way they can cut that down any? Is there a different route they can go? And how can they earn credit while they're in high school if that's the path they want to do? We kind of just added it in as it fit. None of my kids started it like when they were 12 or 13. It just wasn't a thought then. And it hasn't really fit with what they kind of were interested in or wanting to do. As they got further along and sort of owned some decisions themselves, it has fit in very nicely for 3 of my 4 kids so far.
I love that. I always tell parents to inject college credit into their homeschool, not to turn it around the other way where they're chasing
Mhm.
the college credit because it allows you to keep learning from those experiences that you mentioned. And it allows our students to kind of mature and develop their interests. And those decisions are still, on the table. Once you kind of lock it down and start earning a lot of college credit in high school,
Yeah.
you actually are taking some of that flexibility away because
Mhm.
you're now in a situation where you're almost being forced to use that credit in a way so that you don't feel like you've wasted the time. So I love that
Yeah.
approach that you took. And I think,
Thank you.
graduating with 30 college credits, depending on what homeschooling for college credit page you happen to be on in the moment, might seem like not a lot, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
certainly, like you mentioned, we have had instances where families with very young students have started earning college credit, or
Mhm.
families that have earned a lot of college credit in high school. But don't underestimate or undervalue 30 college credits is the equivalent of a year of college. And really, if
Yes.
you have one college credit earned in high school, you're ahead. You are ahead. You have already started bringing that goalpost closer. I love that. Before we wrap it up today,
Mhm.
you were telling me about something cool that your daughter gets to do with Liberty on spring break. And I'm wondering if you would share that real quick.
Sure. So Liberty actually has quite a few programs through LU Send or through some of their different majors. So she applied and was chosen to go with the nursing program to Rwanda over spring break to give some nursing care. And I think they're going to hold clinics and stuff. So it's just a great opportunity that's available to her that she's chosen to take advantage of. It also qualifies as her clinical credit for the semester. So that gives her some other time to work on studies and other things.
That's so cool. I hope she has fun. I know that'll be a very valuable learning experience. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to thank everybody for listening to the Homeschooling for College Credit podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Cook-DeRosa. And thank you, Melanie. Thanks for joining us and sharing your valuable resources and strategy of how you guys saved a lot of money on your daughter's education. Join me next time as we uncover homeschooling strategies and we share success stories from those who have taken resourceful high school planning to the next level. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for having me.